Allogene Therapeutics is currently trading at $1.16. And so like I said in the last video, the two major insiders are Arie Belldegrun and David Chang. And if we go to Simply Wall Street, we can see here that Pfizer hold just under 10% in Allogene Therapeutics, with Arie Belldegrun on 2.63% and David Chang on 2.58%. You can also see here Arie Belldegrun and David Chang on the Allogene Therapeutics website right here, and you can see that they're part of the management team as well. This article from Forbes dated from 7 years ago states that they're back after selling Kite. Belldegrun and Chang seek to change cancer treatment again. And so if you followed this channel before, you know that one of my investment strategies is to invest with individuals with a proven track record from the past. And you can see right here that Arie Belldegrun and David Chang have this. They set up Kite Pharma, which they sold to Gilead for $11.9 billion, which you can see right here. And this is how Arie Belldegrun has actually amassed this personal fortune of $1.4 billion. You can see here too. And now they're at it again, this time with Allogene Therapeutics. You can see here from this Forbes article, after developing one of the first therapies to genetically engineer white blood cells to attack cancer, and then selling their company Kite Pharma to Gilead for $11.9 billion, what do Arie Belldegrun and David Chang do next? Like I've said in a number of videos, I invest with individuals and teams first, and I've mentioned pharmaceutical billionaires like Randall Kirk, Patrick Soon-Shiong, Philip Frost and Dietmar Hopp in numerous videos. They all have a proven track record. They're pharmaceutical titans that have been around for decades and decades, and have built out their personal fortunes from building out pharmaceutical companies from scratch and then selling them on to larger pharmaceutical companies. And as you can see, Arie Belldegrun fits this bill with his $1.4 billion fortune and this track record of selling Kite Pharma to Gilead in the past. One of the things I'm really doing is I'm looking for moments of friction or difficulty in very specific companies. So firstly, I'm looking for these billionaires, these billionaire titans with a proven track record. And then I'm looking for times where there are these difficulties, like I said, because those present opportunistic entry points into stocks that I believe, based on the proven track record of the individuals leading, have a high potential for success, irrespective of what's happening at that time. You can see on the 1st of August, Allogene reports patient death, discontinues investigational antibody and CAR-T pivotal trial. And this is what I mean by identifying moments of friction or difficulty in a company and using that as an opportunity to get in on a stock, because we're not necessarily looking at the immediate news, but we're looking at who's leading the team, who's managing the direction and leading the strategy and the innovation behind the company as well. And so this news around the Allogene reports patient death and discontinues investigational antibody saw a price decline in Allogene Therapeutics of around $1.08. And so when other shareholders are panicking at this kind of bad news and causing the price to decline, I'm looking at the individuals spearheading the company. You know, I'm investing with these individuals, whether it's Patrick Soon-Shiong, whether it's Randall Kirk, you know, and in this case, whether it's Arie Belldegrun and David Chang, because I'm looking at the team, I'm looking at these individuals and their proven track record. You can see right here the developments in their pipeline, and this first program is the one that we're really going to pay attention to, is the cell one that you can see right here. We can see right here that it's currently in phase 2. And what's important to note is that, you know, if we just look over here, we can see that this small one right here, just above the number and to the right, is a bit of an asterisk. It's a note to identify that phase 2 is designed to be registrational, which you can see at the very bottom, just underneath the pipeline of their website right here. And this press release dated August the 13th, 2025, Allogene Therapeutics pivotal phase 2 alpha-3 trial with cell in first-line consolidation with large B-cell lymphoma. More than 50 sites activated across the US and Canada, with additional international expansion underway, and the scheduled futility analysis remains on track for the first half of 2026. And it's this point right here about this scheduled futility analysis which is really critical to pay attention to. That's kind of like the major catalyst that's coming up with this stock at the moment. And the critical thing to note with this catalyst that's coming up in the first half of 2026 is that it's really going to determine whether they carry on with these trials or not. It's kind of like a make or break thing. And so on one hand, you know, there is kind of a level of risk, if you like, but there's potential huge upside with this as well, because if it does go ahead, you know, it puts them into the next phase. They move into the final phase. The company would be in a position to submit their BLA, their biologics license application, to the FDA. Effectively, a positive readout will show that the therapy is safe and effective to be used, and the BLA submission would be the formal request by Allogene Therapeutics to the FDA to approve the treatment so that they can go ahead and commercialize it as a product, as a treatment for patients. And so this statement right here in their most recent press release, the phase 1 resolution trial with ALLO-329 in autoimmune, initiated resolution basket trial in rheumatology, proof of concept data remains planned for the first half of 2026. Again, this point around proof of concept, not as critical as the statement that I mentioned around the point around the futility analysis that you can see up on the screen now, the scheduled futility analysis, which remains on track for the first half of 2026, which is for this treatment in their pipeline at the very top that you can see right here. But the proof of concept data that we can see for ALLO-329, which you can see is at this stage in the pipeline at the moment, is also hugely important simply because it validates the drug's mechanism in humans and almost sets the stage for them to move into more thorough trials, which bring them one step closer to a potential BLA submission. Again, you know, we can see it trading at what I consider to be a super reasonable price. Still negative sentiment just lingering because of this bad news around this patient death that you can see up on the screen now. And I think the important thing to highlight with this is it was about an antibody that they were administering for their trials. It was nothing to do with the treatments that they were testing out. Rather, it was an antibody that they were using. And so as we can see, there were two critical catalysts coming up in the first half of 2026 for this stock. One of them being one that potentially leads them onto a potential BLA into 2026 as well, which could see the share price spike dramatically. And what I really like is that Allogene Therapeutics, you know, looking at their pipeline, all of their treatments are designed to be registrational at phase 2, which again shortens the timeline as well for these treatments. And effectively, you know, I think the critical thing is that, you know, with this kind of investing, we're hedging our bets on potential positive news, on approvals, and they don't always work out. And I think that's something to be prepared for as an investor, which is why, you know, for me, I like to invest with individuals with the pedigree, with the proven track record. Because on one hand, I'm, yes, banking on positive news and on approvals, but at the same time, if they don't work, you know, this has happened to me in the past with Immunity Bio and Patrick Soon-Shiong, I don't panic because my investment is with the individual, you know, the individual who has had decades and decades of experience and has amassed a fortune through building out these pharmaceutical companies. They have in-depth and intimate knowledge, not only of the science, but of the business strategy, all of these kinds of things that are kind of not in my remit. And so I'm very much banking on the individuals who have a level of superior knowledge than I do, if you like, as well. There's always likely to be bad news. There are always likely to be setbacks in the biotech space when we do invest in these stocks. And so there's this level of insurance knowing that the individuals that I've invested with have that pedigree, have the track record, have partnerships, and have a reputation, and they have leverage in these industries. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.